Sa mga ginagalang kong kapwa Senator Judge, sa ating mga minamahal na kababayan, sa mga partido sa kaso na kabinbin ngayon sa Senado, isa pong maganda at pinagpalang hapon sa ating lahat. Sa araw na ito, muling gagampanan ng Senado ang isa sa mga pinakasagradong tungkuling iniatas ng saligang batas. Ang pag-upo natin bilang isang impeachment court para litisin at husgahan ang pangalawang Pangulo. Kinikilala ng ating saligang batas na may mga opisyal na may hawak ng kapangyarihan at pananagutan na napakabigat. Para sa kanila lamang itinakda ang impeachment bilang tanging paraan para sila ay panagutin. Article 11, Section 2 of the Constitution enumerates these officials: the President, the Vice President, the members of the Supreme Court, members of the Constitutional Commissions, and the Ombudsman. They are not ordinary public officers. According to the late former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, they hold, quote, the highest and most sensitive offices of government. They may be removed from office only upon conviction for offenses of the highest constitutional gravity: culpable violation of the Constitution, treason, bribery, graft and corruption, other high crimes, or betrayal of the public trust. Impeachment is a means to preserve constitutional government through the removal and disqualification, if so warranted, of an unfit official from a position of public trust. 5 opisyal pa lamang ang na-impeach ng Kamara de Representantes sa ating kasaysayan sa ilalim ng 1987 Constitution. Una, si dating Pangulong Joseph Estrada noong 2001 na ang paglilitis ay naungusan ng mga pangyayaring humantong sa EDSA 2. Ikalawa, si Ombudsman Mercy Gutierrez noong 2011 na nagbitiw bago pa man mabuksan ang kanyang paglilitis ng Senado. Ikatlo, si Chief Justice Renato Corona noong 2011 din na nilitis na patunayang nagkasala at inalis sa tungkulin ng impeachment court bilang punong mahistrado. Ika-4, si dating COMELEC Chairman Andres Bautista noong 2017 bagamat nagbitiw siya sa pwesto bago pa man mapadala ang articles of impeachment sa Senado. At ika-5, si Vice President Sara Duterte noong 2025. Subalit ang nasabing articles of impeachment ay idineklara ng Korte Supremang null and void ab initio kung kaya't ito ay in-archive ng Senado. Siya ay muling na-impeach sa kasalukuyang taon at ngayon nahaharap sa paglilitis na ito. Ipinakikita lamang na maikling tala nito na ang impeachment ay hindi isang pangkaraniwang kaganapan. Turing nga ng Korte Suprema, quote, it is the most difficult and cumbersome mode of removing a public officer from office. Subalit, ang paglilitis na ito hindi lamang hindi pangkaraniwan, ito ay tunay na bukod tangi. Bakit? Una, si Vice Presidente Sara Duterte ang kauna-unahang opisyal na 2 beses na na-impeach ng mababang kapulungan. Pangalawa, siya ang kauna-unahang Vice Presidente na haharap sa paglilitis ng isang impeachment court at pangalawang opisyal lamang na halal ng sambayanan na sasailalim sa prosesong ito. Pangatlo, siya ay hinahalal ng may pinakamalaking mandatong pinagkaloob ng sambayanang Pilipino sa sinumang kandidato sa ating kasaysayan. Mahigit 32 milyon o 61% ng kabuuang boto para sa ikalawang Pangulo. Pang-apat, ang articles of impeachment laban sa kanya ay inendorso ng 277 na miyembro na kumakatawan sa ating mga mamamayan mula sa iba't ibang distrito at sektor at ng ating bansa. Nakatumbas ay mahigit 80% ng kabuuan ng Kamara de Representantes. Terminating an elected mandate before the end of its term is among the most drastic acts our constitutional democracy can undertake. This is why the trial must be guided with prudence, tempered by caution, and marked with unquestionable impartiality. We must avoid even the appearance of impropriety and observe the cold neutrality of an impartial judge at all times. May I therefore caution my fellow senator judges, the prosecutors, the respondent and their respective counsels and witnesses to refrain from making any comments and disclosures to the public pertaining to the merits of this trial as mandated by the impeachment rules itself. Let us heed the words of the Supreme Court that said, impeachment is not a chance to settle political scores. It is not a stage for political theater or personal attacks, Because when the focus shifts to the person rather than the alleged wrongdoing, the process loses its integrity. As presiding officer, I shall do my part to uphold the fairness and integrity of this process and shall see it through to its proper conclusion. At this point, I would like to thank my colleagues for their trust and confidence. I did not seek nor did I ask for this responsibility, but neither will I shirk from fulfilling this duty without fear or favor. This now brings me to the threshold questions that will guide the conduct of this trial and the rulings of the chair. First, what is the number of votes needed to convict the respondent? Second, what is the quantum of proof required to sustain a judgment of conviction or acquittal in these proceedings? Third, how strictly or liberally will this court apply the rules in resolving questions of procedure and evidence? On the first issue, the Constitution provides that no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of all the members of the Senate. With 24 members of the Senate, a literal interpretation of this means that conviction requires the affirmative vote of at least 16 senator judges. This literal interpretation finds direct support in the 2000 case of Bayan versus Zamora, which concerned the Senate's compliance with the 2/3 vote required to concur in a treaty. Despite having only 23 incumbent senators at that time, then Senator Gloria Macapagal Arroyo was elected as vice president. Therefore, there were only 23 senators. The court held the charter provides that the Senate shall be composed of 24 senators. Without a tinge of doubt, 2/3 of the figure, or not less than 16 members, is an unquestionable compliance with the requisite number of votes mentioned in Section 21 of Article 7. It behooves therefore all of us to observe the same fidelity with the Constitution in this trial, which affects not only the mere ratification of a treaty, but more so affects the substantial rights of the respondent, as well as the sovereign will of the people as expressed in the overwhelming mandate given to her. This is the prevailing law today, and whether we agree with it or not, we must abide by it. However, those who disagree are not without recourse, because this is without prejudice to the right of any party who holds a different view to seek judicial relief. And should the Supreme Court, who possesses the sole authority to interpret the Constitution, by virtue of its power of judicial review, render a different ruling on this question other than what the chair has stated, this court and this representation shall faithfully abide by that ruling of the Supreme Court. On the question of quantum of proof, given that impeachment is a sui generis constitutional proceedings, the standards of proof that govern administrative, civil, and criminal proceedings do not apply. However, this does not mean that senator judges shall rely solely on their conscience in deciding this case. No less than the Supreme Court also said that, quote, decisions regarding whether to acquit or convict must be based upon clear charges supported by sufficiently clear and convincing evidence. Furthermore, let me be clear that the burden of proof in these proceedings rests upon the prosecution. It does not and will not shift. The respondent is afforded the presumption of innocence and has no obligation to disprove the charges against her. Finally, we turn to the application of the rules of court in these proceedings. Rule 1, Section 6 of the Rules of Courts provide that the rules shall be liberally construed in order to promote their objective of securing a just, speedy, and inexpensive disposition of every action and proceeding. We are also guided by the Supreme Court's Bench Book for Trial Judges, which reflects a long-standing principle of adjudication. In case of honest doubt about the admissibility of evidence, it is a better policy to rule in favor of admission and let the senator judges decide whether to give it little or no weight when deciding upon the case in the final outcome. But let me be clear. A liberal construction of the rules is not a license to ambush the opposing party, bypass due process, or introduce unverified evidence that would prejudice the fair and orderly conduct of this trial. Accordingly, consistent with the demands of due process, fair play, and the orderly administration of justice, the chair will construe the rules liberally so that, number one, the prosecutors may be able to adequately present their case, that the respondent may be able to rigorously test it. Number three, that the senator judges may be able to weigh the evidence for themselves. And fourth, so that the Filipino people may hear the whole and impartial truth regarding the allegations against the Vice President. Let us remember what our oath requires us, to do impartial justice according to the Constitution and the laws. Hindi po tayo nandito upang itaguyod ang anumang pampolitikal na adyenda. Hindi tayo narito upang paglingkuran ang kagustuhan ng alinmang panig. Narito tayo upang alamin ang katotohanan at sa pamamagitan nito, mapairal ang hustisyang walang kinikilingan. Ang tungkulin natin bilang mga hukom ay hindi maaaring talikuran. Sa gitna nito, batid ko ang mga problemang kinakaharap ng ating bayan na patuloy natin dapat pa rin pagtuunan ng buong pansin at hanapan ng solusyon. Tayo ay mga senador bago tayo umupo bilang mga hukom at mananatili tayong mga senador na patuloy na magsusumikap na tugunan ang mga pangailangan ng ating mga kababayan bilang Senado at hindi mababago ito. Kaya't aking hiling at dalangin na huwag sana malunod ang diwa ng pagkakaisang nagbigay sa atin gaano mang katindi ang mga debate at pagtatalo sa hukumang ito. Dahil anuman ang magiging kalabasan ng paglilitis na ito, laging kinakailangan ang Senadong nagkakaisa. Dalangin ko po na sana pagkalubad tayo ng katatagan, karunungan, pagpapakumbaba at pag-unawa upang magampanan nating lahat ang ating tungkulin bilang mga hukom. Pagpalain na po lahat sana tayo ng poong may kapal. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon po.